Good morning, Minnesota DFLers, and welcome to the DFL Daily. Richard Carlbaum here, chair of the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party. Great to be with you each and every morning at 10:45 to make sure that you have the message, the action, and the tools to be empowered. Want to start off by saying thank you to Senate District 2, who had me up at their convention in Red Bee, Minnesota. The Red Lake Nation hosted Democrats from Northwest Minnesota to endorse our candidates for state Senate and state House. And it was a wonderful room, really full room, actually. And when we asked how many people were there for the first time, again, over half the room raised their hand. And what was really neat was over half the people volunteering at the check-in and registration table, it was their first convention ever, and they rolled up their sleeves and got right to work. So thank you to everybody who did your conventions this weekend. I know Minneapolis had their convention and SD4 had theirs, so appreciate everybody getting out and about and doing that work of democracy. Before we get into today's message memo, I want to just mention a few events happening around the state. First and foremost, in Hackensack, we have Neighbors Talking with Neighbors, a meeting for those who can attend. Dessert, coffee, and hot chocolate will be provided. It's in Hackensack tonight at 6 p.m. Fergus Falls, we have a coffee and conversation tomorrow at 4 p.m. North Mankato, neighborhood garden party meet and greet at 8 for 18A candidate Leah Hansen tomorrow at 5 p.m. And then Spring Valley Earth Day Rally is Wednesday at 4 p.m. Dinner in St. Cloud with our neighbors at the immigrant-owned restaurant Star of India Thursday at 6 p.m. Lots of things happening around the state. You can go to dfl.org/events to see what events are happening in your area. All right, let's get into the message memo this week. Every week we focus on a message to help name what Minnesotans are experiencing in real time and to lift up DFL leaders like you doing the good work out in community. This week, our focus is the story of the 2026 legislative session. Affordability, gun violence prevention, fraud prevention, ICE surge recovery, and how Democrats have taken action. The core message this week is direct and simple. Democrats are working for you. Republicans don't want to work. This is what we want folks to remember. We're going to share this week's message memo with you. We're dropping the PDF link in the chat right now. This message is for your neighbors, social media, and any community organization you are a part of. This week, please put these ideas front and center in your communications. First off, Minnesota Democrats are working hard to keep communities safe and life affordable by keeping hospitals open, protecting kids from gun violence, and prosecuting criminals committing fraud and keeping ICE away from our schools. Republicans just don't want to work. They made a formal motion to end the legislative session early several weeks ago. They're blocking bipartisan bills, and they even skipped out of work in the middle of committee, in the middle of the day, to go have a couple of beers. On affordability, Minnesotans should not go without life-saving health care because a hospital closes or costs are too high. Democrats are working hard to make sure affordable care is there when you need it, while Republicans defend cuts that put everyone else's health at risk. On gun violence prevention, Minnesota Democrats are listening to Annunciation families and working to keep children safe. Republicans are cutting student mental health support and leaving our kids in danger at school. On fraud prevention, Democrats are infuriated by the amount of fraud that bad actors stole from the most vulnerable Minnesotans among us. Minnesota Democrats have taken swift action to investigate, prosecute, and will continue to punish bad actors for committing fraud. Republicans are voting against action to put criminals in jail and protect public funds from fraud. They've proven this year that they're all about admiring the problem and not solving the problem. On recovery efforts from the ICE surge that we experienced here in Minnesota, everyone deserves to feel safe, especially at home and while at school. Minnesota Democrats are working to keep masked ICE agents away from daycares and schools. Republicans continue to block a return to normalcy. Through it all, Democratic elected officials are fighting for Minnesota values, fairness, self-respect, and taking care of our families. Republican elected officials are choosing to stand with Donald Trump and billionaires instead of the people they were elected to serve. And facts matter, folks. Here's just some of the data that back up our message memo this week. Trump's big, beautiful betrayal of a bill includes an estimated $911 billion in Medicaid cuts in the next 10 years, expected to leave millions of Americans uninsured, and is going to cripple our rural hospital system. That includes about 150,000 people in Minnesota. In some counties, more than a quarter of residents get their health care through Medicaid. More than 200 Minnesota children have been killed by gun violence since 2021. Law enforcement has had a sweeping response to the fraud problem, charging over 92 people and securing over 62 convictions to criminals who defrauded our state government programs. Criminals and scammy businesses continue to be held accountable for stealing from Minnesotans, and administrators in Columbia Heights and Fridley estimate that dozens of students have not returned since the ICE occupation, which cost the district more than $1 million in funding. And then finally, 8,713 school-aged children are in need of mental health services due to the impacts of Operation Metro Surge. When I hear those facts, to me, they tell a very, very important and powerful story. What are you hearing in those facts? Pop some of your thoughts into the chat about what story comes to mind and what you are remembering from this last year. All right, here's some quotes. We have two quotes from our legislative leaders that are important in terms of the work that's happening at the legislature. Aaron Murphy said, quote, "We knew we had important things that we wanted to tackle, whether it is the cost of living and family budgets, and to make sure we're responding to what we've experienced when ICE was here and across the state of Minnesota, putting urgent action forward." And then when Republican legislators left committee early to go drinking, Minnesota House DFL leader Zach Stevenson had this response: They don't want anything to get done this year. Republicans wanted to pack it up and go home. They're clearly not interested in doing their jobs. Again, this is the same party, the Republican Party, that proposed to adjourn session several weeks ago early. Now for the part I know that you're all prepared for, turning this week's message into action. Messages matter most when they lead to organizing and engaging with our communities. So you're the messengers that we need to move forward, but I know there are more people just like you who can really benefit from this. So here's our call to action. Share our DFL Daily Spotify page with someone in your life who wants to make a difference but doesn't know where to get started. We'll drop it into the chat. Episodes can be viewed in video or through audio, so you can stay connected while washing the dishes, folding laundry, or commuting to work. Already, we've seen Minnesotans from across the state plugging in, from listeners in Burnsville to International Falls, Mankato to New Ulm. Our call to action today is for you to help us get this message out to more people so that we can connect and grow this network with the DFL Daily. So that's it, folks. This week's message memo. Now you have the message, the action, and the tools to be empowered. Remember, our message this week is Democrats are working for you. Republicans don't want to work. Keep that idea center of your conversations this week and help us amplify it all around the state. Thanks, everybody, and happy Monday. We'll see you tomorrow. We have 197 days until the November 3rd midterm election. Let's go win this thing.